Welcome to Jacksonville.radio. We're a family of radio stations serving the Jacksonville and South Georgia areas. As a service to our community, we highlight organizations and events that help make this area the best place in the country to live. Thank you for listening to our North Florida neighborhood.
Hey, and welcome to North Florida Neighborhood. I'm Colby, and North Florida Neighborhood is all about getting to know our neighbors and just seeing what really great stuff they're doing with us and for us in our community. And today, the neighbors we get to chat with, it's David and Sandra. They're both here with Live the Life. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a privilege. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Yes. So first, David, give me a rundown on what Live the Life is all about.
Okay, yeah. Live the Life was started 26 years ago in Tallahassee, Florida. And it was started by our president and his wife, Richard and Elizabeth Albertson. And so they saw a need for marriage ministry. And so they began to start marriage ministry within Tallahassee, within churches mainly, and teaching relationship education and how to work on your marriage. And so it's kind of grown from there. And we've had programs in almost 35 states and I think 15 different countries. And so we've seen a lot of expansion. And in 2017, there was a major effort here in Jacksonville. As a matter of fact, you can look up the article called The Miracle of Jacksonville. And it was when the Baptist churches and the Catholic churches here in Jacksonville came together and saw a major reduction in the divorce rate. And so that's kind of how it came into, Live the Life came into Jacksonville.
Okay, in one of the statements you'd made, David, that y'all have your programs in 35 different cities?
States, yeah.
Okay, in 35 different states. So what are those programs that you have in place?
Yeah, so the signature program for marriage is called Adventures in Marriage. And with Adventures in Marriage, we teach, it's a 8 to 12-hour program according to which way it's represented. And it actually helps couples with communication skills, which is one of the big things we do, is trying to teach people to communicate. I know from doing counseling that I do here at Live the Life, one of the top needs is communication. You know, we can say, oh, it's children, it's family, it's all finances, it's all that stuff. It's usually we don't know how to talk about those things. And so we really focus on communication skills with couples.
Okay, and so this started just kind of was bred out of a church, and now it's turned into a whole nonprofit. So what does it look like for, I don't know, maybe me and my husband were in a rough patch for me to get involved with Live the Life? Yeah,
so there's two different ways immediately there. We have Adventures in Marriage classes scheduled all over the place. And so like we have one coming up in January here in the Salem Center, and that we have those kind of classes, but we also have, when couples get in crisis, we have a program called Hope Weekend, and that's a 3-day intensive, and that is for couples that are in major crisis, and we actually see about an 80% success rate with couples in crisis. Many of them have already filed for divorce when they come to this Hope Weekend. This is their last-ditch effort, and it is so Christian-based and Christ-centered and biblically based, and we give them the hope that they're looking for so often.
Okay, and how can we get more information about those events, David?
Yeah, so livethelifejacks.org is the best place to go. And Sarah runs all of our stuff at livethelifejacks.org, and she makes sure our social medias are out there for Live the Life Jacksonville, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So there's all kinds of resources there, and then it'll point them to classes we have coming up and everything else.
Okay. And one of the things you had mentioned was there's like 8 to 12-hour classes. Are those online, in person?
They're in person. Okay. Yeah. So we, I think during COVID, there was some online stuff just because kind of had to. And but our classes are in person and with other couples. So it's really exciting too, because we love it because you get all these couples that many times don't even know each other. Like we have one going on right now, and I think 15 couples showed up. None of them knew each other, but it's amazing the connection that they end up making. And then they're all learning these things together. And then we have coaches that help them as we teach them the skills. They don't just do this. We don't just teach them the skill. They actually do the skill in the class, and we break up, and coaches are helping them learn how to communicate that way. So it's really a lot of fun, but it's also very informative and so helpful.
So David, be honest with me, because I don't know if I'd want to like air my dirty laundry in front of 14 other couples I don't know. So how does that work?
Yeah, so we usually separate them out. We have a room big enough. We put a couple, we just let them spread out around the room. And and they're not doing this in front of each other. Now our coaches just go from couple to couple
Okay.
and say, hey, how's it going for you? What's this looking like? What's the struggles that you're having? What's the things you find easy? And, we've trained our coaches to do that so that way they can separate them out and then go just kind of help them walk through that.
Okay, I'm glad you broke that down.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're not getting them up in front of everybody. All right, drop everything for us right now.
Yeah, and it also sounds like naturally what's bred is just accountability.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the coaches, the good thing is the coaches can stay in touch. If they ever struggle, they can come back to a class for free. And so there's all kinds of things, options. As a matter of fact, the classes we have right now, we have a federal marriage grant. And so these classes are free. So free is good. Yeah, free is good. We do have some paid classes, like the Hope Weekend is a paid class, but the most of our Adventures in Marriage here in Jacksonville, it's absolutely free. And so they can come. And I mean, we had one couple, they've said, we've been looking for a retreat, but we just couldn't afford it because finances were a problem. So they just sent the kids to the grandparents for the weekend, and they came to our Adventures in Marriage and just treated it as their own little getaway.
Oh my gosh.
And way they could do their own little marriage retreat. Yeah.
That is so awesome. And I'm glad that you kind of put the stamp on, hey, this is free.
Yeah.
A lot cheaper than a divorce.
Yes,
which again,
absolutely.
It's free. And so, David, tell me one more time the best website to find out more about Live the Life.
Yeah, livethelifejax.org.
Okay. And then one of the other women we have here in the studio with us is Sandra. And Sandra, you are the student program manager. Tell me a little bit about what that means when it comes to Live the Life.
Yeah, so the student program is truly in like public schools, private schools, charter schools, or community-based organizations, and it's all about relationship education. So it was started in the Center of Relationship Education in Denver, Colorado, and it was a nurse who saw the gap between teaching contraception and abstinence and was like, okay, well, how can we just teach kids how to have good, healthy relationships? So it was a very different approach. And so she created a curriculum that is awesome. It's all based on the Harvard study, which was a longitudinal study that took place that Harvard conducted on around like 70 to 80 men and followed them throughout their whole life until the very end, and pretty much wanted to find out what was the number one predictor of happiness for those men. And it wasn't wealth. It wasn't their career, how successful they were in it. It was actually the quality of their relationships.
I'm about to tell my husband that.
I know. And we start that off for all the kids when we go in and teach them. So that's the basis of the program. And we go into communication skills. So what the couples learn, they learn about personality styles, what love and infatuation mean, and what the difference is. Love is a decision, not a feeling. Feelings come and go. You can't rely on that for, a good quality lifelong relationship. But yeah, so we provide it for free as well. Just like David has we have the marriage program. So our program is free, 8 lessons long. We provide the facilitators, so no one needs to get certified at the school. We are the ones that are certified, and we come in and teach the kids.
And how does a school get on board with what Live the Life is doing for their students?
Yeah, so they would pretty much just contact me, the program manager, which you can find the student section on our website, livethelifejax.org/students. And then I would coordinate with them, and we will figure out a schedule, figure out who would come in to facilitate, and provide all the materials and resources for the school.
And so y'all literally go to the school and teach these kids?
Yes.
What are the ages of the students?
So it's 10 through 19-year-olds, so it's pretty much middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Okay. Have you been able to firsthand maybe see this click in some of these kids' minds?
Oh, yes. No, by the time we end the program, they want more. They don't want us to leave. They just eat it all up because there's that lack of relationship and connection, especially with social media. They don't have the same relationships that we grew up with, looking at each other eye to eye, having those nonverbals. They don't understand how much communication is nonverbal. And they text, they FaceTime, it's not the same connection that we grew up with. So you see that need and you see that light spark every time we come in and teach.
And so this has been around since, you'd mentioned 26 years, David. But when did the students portion start?
It was it 4 to 5 years?
Yeah, 4 to 5 years ago is when, and it's called True North. The ministry. It's called True North. And about 4 to 5 years ago is when it really took off. And it's so productive because I have to tell my favorite story. I'm going to tell you know which one I want to tell. We had a facilitator went to a school and was teaching a class about toxic relationships and what a toxic relationship looked like. And this couple came up to her after and said, "Hey, we just wanted you to know because of you, we broke up today." And she's like, "Uh-oh." Well,
this is like a
high school couple. Yeah.
Oh,
high school couple. They're like, "Because of you." And they're like, and she's like, "I'm sorry. I don't know."
You're right.
And they were like, no, we actually realized when you were talking, we're in a toxic relationship. And we'd rather do this now than get 5 years down the road, have a child and be married and realize that it's better to learn. And that's so beautiful that in high school, you have these kids that were able to have the maturity to be taught something like this and go, "Oh man, we're in a toxic relationship and this isn't going to be healthy down the road. So it's better to break up now in high school, and move on than to get, after college or whatever and be in this situation." So I think that's one of my favorite stories just because it was so real.
Yeah.
And it was also the goal, for what we do with True North.
And I was just going to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, David. Are you really hoping that within the students program, True North, that this is going to kind of take some pressure off of people really having to go through these other programs if their marriage is in shambles?
Yes.
Like, you learn young and you implement those now so you're not in this pickle later on.
Yeah, absolutely. We figure out if by the time they go to the True North program, the students, and then we also have a premarital thing called Start Smart. And so if we can get them through True North and Start Smart, by the time they get married, they should have already developed some relationship skills, and some things to learn that hopefully. Now, that doesn't mean, Jesus said, in this world, you're going to have trouble. And that includes marriage. You're always going to have issues and things like that. But at least we can prevent some things. And I think so many times in marriage ministry or whatever, we're trying to squelch problems that have already developed. What if we could get to the prevention area? And if we could get to prevention, that would be a whole lot better than waiting until we have the problem to deal with it.
And whether it's True North or truly through Live the Life, you guys are all about prevention, preventing that divorce from happening within a family unit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, giving them the skills that they need in order to prevent that.
And Sandra, kind of being boots on the ground in these classrooms or really just facilitating those boots on the ground people, do you have another story that you can share from the True North program?
Yeah, so not a very specific one, but we do have an activity that is the Love Tank activity, which I feel like anyone who teaches this curriculum can say a lot of good things about this. Is we pretty much have them figure out what their love languages are, which is also great because I feel like when we get older and you're married, you don't even know about love languages and you don't even know how people give and receive love and how much that factors into the way your heart is and how full it can be. So we have the person with the love language of words of affirmation put on a huge extra large t-shirt that has a little love tank on it. And we have the students write words of affirmation on it. So it's like compliments or just appreciations for that student. And then as they get balloons, they blow them up, they write the words of affirmation, then each of them come up and put the balloons in their shirt or their love tank. And you just see, like I just had a class, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. The girl was like, "Oh no, I don't want to do it. Like that's so embarrassing. Like, oh gosh, like what is this?" And so she put the shirt on and I was like, "No, like trust me, like you'll see." So then all of them read their little words of affirmation and just her smile, like the beaming and the whole purpose of the exercise is for, hey guys, like you see her love tank filled, that's what we look for. Like it's noticeable. When your love tank is full, you're beaming, you're radiating. And that's why it's our job to make sure everyone else's love tanks are full so that no one is, everyone's taking it into account pretty much. Because, it's all about love is selfless. So as long as we take care of each other, we'll never have to take care of ourselves. So
I love that visual. That is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great exercise. And, I think it goes into marriage. If you could get people to understand, we do a similar thing with what are your needs, and so just knowing that you're meeting people's needs. And we all have needs. Everybody's needy. I know our men always balk at that at classes when we tell them they're needy, but everybody's needy. It's just we don't know how to identify those needs and meet them. And so that's so beautiful that, you get a group of young people meeting that need and just watching those people just feel. And we've seen them with tears in their eyes when that's happening. You're like, wow, I didn't even know that I needed that much.
And so now on the flip side of things, again, I have the privilege of chatting with both David and Sandra here with Live the Life. David, can you share maybe a story where a couple came to Hope Weekend or maybe even came to Adventures in Marriage and they just needed some help and y'all were really able to be the help that they were looking for?
Yeah, I can share two quick ones. One,
I'd love both.
One was at Adventures in Marriage. This couple, they're actually coaches for us now. They came to Adventures in Marriage at their church. Their church here in Jacksonville sponsored an Adventures in Marriage class. And he had just gotten out of prison after 7.5 years. And they had very little contact. So you can imagine where their communication was. And they were having marital issues before he went into prison. And then 7.5 years later, he comes out of prison. So they were just at a very difficult place. And they came to an Adventures in Marriage and got the skills and started learning and growing. And actually, they're on our YouTube page. They tell their story on our YouTube page about how transformational it was because they just learned these communication skills and started practicing them and opening up and finding out how to meet each other's needs on a daily basis. And now they're not only are they coaches, they just became instructors too. So how incredible is it that this couple came from are we going to make it to now we're teaching and coaching couples in order for them to make it. So I just love that. That's one of my favorite. They're some of my favorite people too. And then just recently, just about a month and a half ago, we had a couple. My wife is a clinical therapist and she had a couple in her office and they were like, we're done. We're just done. And the husband was like, are we? And the wife said, yes, we're done. And she was. And she said, my husband has this intensive coming up called Hope Weekend. Would y'all be willing to go? And they were a pastoral couple and in ministry. And they came to Hope Weekend. They said, okay, we'll do it because we allow pastors and their spouses to come for free.
That's awesome.
To Hope Weekend. And they came and so a couple weeks after and just saw just an incredible transformation during the weekend. But, you got to make that last. It's one thing for the weekend. But 2 weeks later, I got a message from him. He said, we just spent a time together in St. Augustine. You cannot believe how incredible things are right now. And I know they just saw my wife again after a month and a half. And my wife was like, it was like a brand new couple walked in that office and just how they're like, not only are we just not going to get divorced, we are living our best marriage life right now. And so it's just incredible to watch that and see that and to be a part of it. And number one, I think about that scripture in Ecclesiastes that talks about that threefold cord is not broken. Yes, it's us and them, but we could not do this without the Holy Spirit wrapping himself around what we do. And so we're just so thankful for that.
Well, and how can we be more involved and a part of this as a community, David? Yeah,
so we definitely, as a nonprofit, we got to have the funding. And as we say, we have pastors and their spouses. We have other people go free. We offer scholarships to people to go through programs. And so if you go to livethelifejacks.org, there is a donate page. And that donate page will also tell you if you give $100, that will help a couple go to a marriage class for free. If you give $50, that'll help a student be able to go through a class for free. We have some grants, but we also do some private stuff. So we have to have those funding streams. With a $500, you can give a scholarship to a couple to go through Hope Weekend. Like we had, by the way, that couple that came through that same month, we had a donor that did not even know about them, gave $1,000 in order for a couple to go through. So isn't that incredible? They had no clue that this was even coming up. And just that's the way God works. And so we need those partners. We have some really good partners, and we need those financial partners to help us accomplish that because we feel like we're making a big difference. I was looking at our numbers. We were last year in 2023 alone, Live the Life, not just Jacksonville, but all of our organizations, over 12,000 people went through our programs. And so with 12,000 people, and of that, 583 marriages said their marriages were saved because of the program.
No way.
So 583. Now, if you break that down, when you figure out the cost savings to taxpayers, because divorce doesn't just have a cost on that couple, it has a cost on our community, because now you have so many different things that come into there. It's actually over $23 million that are saved because of those marriages are saved. So when you're making that donation, it's $100 a month, and is that really a big deal? Well, my goodness, you save a marriage, and the dramatic effect that's going to have generationally, because now these kids that are in our schools are going, my mom and dad's marriage was saved, and this is helping me. And so it all ties together, and that's why we see the beauty of that work just together.
And I love how you wrapped it back, David, and said generationally.
Yes.
Because Live the Life isn't here just for like this one marriage, but like these generations.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're also within the student programs and trying to, beat it before it starts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me again, David, the best way to find out more information about Live the Life and get more involved.
Yeah. So go to livethelifejacks.org. And if you'll go to livethelifejacks.org, you'll see all our tabs there. You'll see a True North tab about our students. You'll see a marriage tab that will tell you all about our different marriage programs. And there will be a donate. You'll just find out about who we are in all those places. So we'd love for you to just go there and search around, click around, go to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and look up Live the Life Jacksonville and see what we're doing. And we'd love to have you be a part. Attend a class, and then after you attend a class, like, man, I could do something with this. We need coaches all the time, so we could train you to be a coach and how to help couples. If you're a church or a pastor, we'd love to come partner with you. An organization, we've also military organizations. As a matter of fact, last year we had over 2,400 military graduates go through this, and many of these are special forces, and the military actually has a contract with Live the Life. They mainly do their classes in places like Destin and places where there's military bases. And so you're actually investing in so many people. And livethelifejacks.org, and then find us on all the social medias there.
All right, great. Well, David, Sandra, thank you both for being such great neighbors in our neighborhood.
Awesome. Thank you.